Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Newsbrowse News broadcast. Ottawa, the Canadian press reports that Finance Minister François-Philippe Champagne announced the federal government will table its spring economic update on April 28th. This statement is expected to provide a detailed overview of Canada's fiscal position since the 2025 budget was introduced last fall. It will also incorporate the impact of various global shocks, such as the ongoing conflict in Iran, on the federal government's economic forecasts. The 2025 budget previously projected a federal deficit of $78.3 billion for the last fiscal year, with expectations of smaller deficits in subsequent years leading up to 2030. That financial plan aimed to reduce the deficit as a share of GDP and achieve a balanced operating budget within 3 years, though it notably moved away from the prior fiscal commitment of a declining debt-to-GDP ratio. Furthermore, Prime Minister Mark Carney has outlined plans to reduce day-to-day government expenditures while simultaneously increasing investments in defense, infrastructure, and home construction, reflecting a strategic shift towards reducing reliance on the United States. The upcoming economic update will also account for more recent policy commitments, including an enhancement to the GST benefit and a new initiative to temporarily waive the federal fuel excise tax until Labor Day. Prime Minister Mark Carney's Liberal Party has secured a majority government following a sweep of by-election wins in 2 Toronto ridings and a long-held Bloc Québécois stronghold in Terrebonne, Quebec, Radio Canada International reports. Carney stated that these victories, particularly the one in Quebec, are a strong endorsement of his government's agenda. He pledged to use his newly won majority to swiftly pass previously stalled legislation focused on affordability and home construction measures. Carney emphasized a desire for less showboating and more substance in parliamentary committees. Despite this, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, whose party saw dismal by-election results, vowed to continue challenging the Liberal government on issues such as oil pipelines, high housing costs, and the temporary suspension of the federal fuel excise tax. Global News reports that convenience chain 7-Eleven plans to close 645 North American stores during its 2026 fiscal year, according to recent earnings filings. This number significantly outpaces the 205 new locations the company expects to open within the same period. The Japan-based parent company, 7i Holdings Co., stated that these closures involved the conversion of some stores into wholesale fuel operations. This strategic move comes amidst a challenging economic environment where rising prices globally are impacting consumer spending. 7i noted that for the 2025 fiscal year, North America saw a softening in personal consumption, particularly among low-income households, due to persistent inflation. The ongoing conflict involving the U.S. and Israel with Iran has further disrupted energy markets, contributing to higher gas prices. The company is actively seeking new growth opportunities and initiated a transformation plan last year to enhance its convenience store offerings, including investing in fresh food and expanding its 7NOW delivery service. 7i anticipates its revenue to decrease by 9.4% for the current fiscal year. Radio Canada International reports that British Columbia's toxic drug crisis has reached a grim milestone, 10 years since it was declared a public health emergency on April 14, 2016. Over 18,000 people have died from toxic drugs since then. Efforts to combat the crisis have included an ambitious decriminalization pilot project launched in 2023, though portions were rolled back before it concluded on January 31st. Larry Campbell, former chief coroner and downtown Eastside advisor, noted that the decriminalization plan, originally conceived for heroin, proved inadequate against the rise of more potent drugs like fentanyl. Despite the establishment of 45 overdose prevention sites across the province, addiction physician Dr. Ryan Harriott expresses concern that insufficient focus has been placed on preventing deaths. Data from the BC Coroner's Service indicates that victims are predominantly men, though this gender gap is narrowing. The demographic of those dying is also shifting, with more deaths now occurring among individuals aged 40 to 59. A change observed since 2020. The unregulated drug supply continues to be the leading cause of unnatural death in British Columbia, with 1,833 lives lost in 2025, compared to 474 in 2015. Finnish President Alexander Stubb conducted an official visit to Ottawa today, April 14, 2026. Engaging in diplomatic discussions and public appearances. He began by meeting with Gov. Gen. Mary Simon at Rideau Hall. Later, President Stubb joined Prime Minister Mark Carney for a unique hockey practice session alongside the Ottawa Charge women's hockey team at TD Place. During his visit, Stubb emphasized the close relationship between Finland and Canada, noting that he and Prime Minister Carney exchanged text messages almost daily. The Finnish president also reiterated his firm position regarding the threat posed by Russia, a sentiment amplified by Finland's decision to join the NATO military alliance in 2023, following Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine. His visit is set to continue with a speech at Carleton University and participation in an Arctic Security Business Forum with federal cabinet ministers on Wednesday. This report is from the Canadian Press. That's all for this video. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.